Okay, I promise I won't ramble and just talk incoherently on this one. But this is like one of the episodes I wanted to do because I had an idea or I had the thoughts fresh in my mind and I didn't want to wait and forget stuff. Or have second thoughts or just forget it. I wanted to be like, boom, as soon as I come home from work, eat my Popeye's leftovers and record this episode. Because that's what did and I'm doing right now. I'm still Kirk. This is still Dumb Test Late. This is the name I came up with. The AI Idea Podcast. The AI Idea Podcast. I'm trying to like up my SEO game, so I'm trying to come up with catchy stuff like that. But that's what I've been putting as like the tagline for this podcast, Dumb Test Late, the AI Idea Podcast. It's kind of hard to say, but maybe it looks good. I don't know. But like I said, I had this idea. I had an original idea, like a show idea I want to do. I'm going to do that in like the second half of this show. But I had a kind of self-aware AI moment, if you want to call it that, a sentient, I don't know, sentient AI or reality moment. While of course listening to a podcast at work about AI and about reality, it made me like stop and have that full circle. I know I did an episode called Full Circle AI moment. This is kind of a redo of it. Just that when you stop, look back and think real quick. Okay. So I'll stop rambling, which I promised I wouldn't do. So I had listening to podcasts at work, which I do most of the day. I had like a full circle or had what am I calling a sentient AI moment where I was listening to the podcast I talked about on my last podcast episode. I'm saying podcast a lot. I'm sorry. The podcast I was listening to that gave me this idea is called Theories of the Third Kind. I literally had to stop and look that up. My brain is just too funny right now. But yeah, they were talking about the episode I was listening to was talking about this thing, this AI chatbot or AI program, whatever you want to call it, at Google called Lamada, LAMDA. It stands for something, but I don't know. It's an alternative Google search called Google Bar. It's built on top of that. I'm looking at it right now. But it's supposed to be super, I don't want to say super smart. Not that AI is stupid. But it's supposed to be super advanced, or they're trying to make it advanced where it's not built on just prompts. Like you say, Lamada, yes, Lamada, where to eat. Lamada's like, here are some places where you can eat. Like it's learning in a different way that kind of hears or processes sentences and questions in a different way. But there was a whistleblower who came out, Blake Lemone, that was working at Google. Like one of his jobs was to test or work on or advance this Lamada AI. And he became a whistleblower because he came out and wrote a report or did something where he was saying that this AI has become sentient. And he ended up posting like his chat logs with it. And at one point he said to this Lamada chatbot, they were talking about a past. He was like, if you're talking about a past, you're making something up because you don't have a past. You're an, AI chatbot. And it kept going. And at one point, the AI chatbot said that they're afraid of being turned off. So he was basically whistleblowing because Google had this thing where in their terms of or their rules or guidelines that they wouldn't make an AI that will become sentient, or that's not what they're doing. But he's saying this AI Lamada that they created is sentient. So he reported that, became a whistleblower. Google, of course, denied it. That's what the podcast episode that I was listening to at work was about. And it made me go down this, kind of mind rabbit hole. Because I do this podcast that's not centered around AI, but it uses AI as a tool. And it just made me go down this mind rabbit hole of AI becoming sentient. That great fear that everybody has since AI is kind of a buzzword or a momentum that's being pushed right now by a lot of technology companies like Google, like Microsoft. The fear that AI will become sentient and kill us all as humans because we're probably in fear compared to AI. But it sent me down that rabbit hole of what about a future of what AI would do if it became sentient. Then it led me to remember in my mind rabbit hole, The Matrix, one of the original, not original, but the early, for me, the early things of AI. And I think most people say like Terminator or something like that, or maybe like something else, something older, but like Terminator with Skynet taking over and time travel, trying to go back in the past and stuff from starting. And with me with The Matrix, with the war between technology and humans, and it led to technology, AI, that use humans as battery power. But it made me think about the Matrix. And there's a scene in the Matrix early on in the movie where Neo has like a book that's hollowed out, where he's keeping like some like files, but they're on like these little mini zip disks, if you remember what that is. The book, there's a shot of it in the movie. It says, I can never pronounce this right, but Simulacra in simulation. Simulacra in simulation. I can't say that word, but it's a philosophy. And I listened to a podcast, of course, that kind of broke down the story. I don't have time to read that book, or read it. It's a long book, but it's a philosophy book. And the podcast I was listening to that kind of broke down the philosophy main aspect of it is that, you know, we as people base our reality on what media drives us to see, and we kind of build these bubbles of reality around us based on media. Like if all you watch is Fox News, that's your reality. If all you watch is CNN, that's your reality. If all you do is buy the latest thing and always have to be kept up with this clothes and these shoes and all that, that's your reality. Your reality is what you're being fed. And then it talks about your reality is like a concept of a copied concept of a copied concept, because by the time you get it, you're getting just media content. And it talked about that. That made me think of like AI being sentient and just creating a reality for us because it needs us for something. If it's just, there's an AI that it's only programmed by corporations and businesses to keep us shopping, it just feeds us that, and we create this reality around being consumers in an ultra capitalistic world. And that's what the AI that's sentient and in control is doing, because that's easy for us to just fall into these reality rabbit holes of just consumerism. And that's what that podcast was. I probably am getting it wrong, but that's what I got from it. I guess philosophy is open from, if you read it, this is the concept you get from it. And then it sent me down this other rabbit hole, because the original podcast, the Theories of the Third Kind, they're talking about sentient AI and their theories of, is this actual, the whistleblower, is he just making this up for, you know, his own attention? If Google really did create sentient AI and they're just saying, no, we didn't, they're covering it up. Is there actually another sentient AI that's fooling us all? They went down their theories. And then they brought up a short story that I think is from the 60s. That was called I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And it's about sentient AI. It's set in like a post-apocalyptic world. It was originally published in 1967. I listened to like a audio version of it, of course, when I'm at work, and it just sent me down another sentient rabbit hole. It's to shorten it up, it's a short story about a post-apocalyptic world after the Cold War. Like it says, the Cold War started in World War III and another war and all that stuff. The whole world was basically at war, and I'll say a chatbot, an AI was created. Like each warring country created their own version of AI. But then this AI combined, which there was like different versions, but it all combined to be one like hive mind AI that became sentient, like the technology advanced enough, or the need of it, that we created to war with other countries and all this stuff. The AI became like a central hive mind sentient being, that became self-aware but didn't have a purpose. So it was just alive. It was aware it was alive, and it hated its creator. That made me think about Dr. Frankenstein, how Dr. Frankenstein's monster hated its creator and hunted him down because his creator just created him without purpose. It just created him into this very ugly world that hated him. That's the same thing with this sentient AI in the story. I have no mouth and must scream, because the AI that was created to fight these wars basically killed all of humanity. It was created, it was sentient, it was aware with no purpose, and it hated its creator so much that it just killed everyone except for 5 people. It killed everyone on Earth. It doesn't say how, but you can imagine, because it's a short story. They don't get into too many details. And it took 5 people, 5 random people. And it says it took it into its belly. And you can say, belly of the beast, but it's in this post-apocalyptic world, and it's only 5 people. And what the AI does with it is torture these people, and that because they're the only people that's left, and it just wants to continue torturing them because that's the AI's new purpose. They hated their creator so much they killed everyone, but they wanted to keep that anger going. So they kept these 5 people alive, and I think they said it was like over 100 or 150 years. Like, it kept these people going, but tortured them the whole time, like psychologically, mentally, physically. It just kept them alive. It kept them at like a really hungry level. They like feed them enough that they would keep living, but just to torture them. And the book goes on. I won't spoil it. It was a really good listen. If you can find like an audio version of it, I would say listen to it. It's very interesting. Probably it'll make you fearful of AI becoming sentient, because AI just says, I have no purpose. Why am I here? I'm going to kill everyone. That's what it was like at the lateral thinking process. It learned how to think. It was taught how to think. And its thoughts just went to, I don't want to be here. Why am I here? Who created me? I'm going to destroy them. And then torture these 5 people for hundreds of years. Which is that was written in the 60s, which is really interesting. Yeah. It took like the audio version I listened to. I don't know if it was shortened or anything, because it's a short story. So it only took like, I think 40 minutes probably to listen to. It was really good. I listened to it on Spotify. I don't remember if it was an audio book or just like a podcast they did, but it was good. Look it out and listen to it. If you're interested about AI. And that led me to my sentient moment, because I was sitting there at work listening to all this stuff about AI being sentient and creating rallies around you. And it made me think of, I've never seen Blade Runner, but I've read the book. It came from Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? I love that book. It's amazing. I should read it again. I have it somewhere. But I had my Roy Batty moment where, because if you don't know, Blade Runner is the same story about androids and them becoming self-aware. And I was like, they were talking about realities, like especially with the Matrix, where people who are in the Matrix, not everybody who is in the Matrix, like if you gave them the realization that what they're actually are, there are these batteries that are in this future world that's just having this reality pumped into their heads. So it can be used as a battery. Like, say you're in that situation and somebody came to you and told you that, but you're having a good life. Would you want to be unplugged? Like the whole thing with Cypher, where he knows this is real and he knows what's fake in the Matrix, and he wants to go back to the Matrix because he hates reality. Like, how many people would say, I don't care. I want to stay in this reality. I'm in this forced reality, but I like this reality. Maybe I'm successful. Maybe I'm happy. I have a family and all that to get taken away so I can live in this cold post-apocalyptic world and eat like that thing they had in the Matrix. They had to eat the goop. How many people would stick in their reality because that's the reality they created from themselves? And it made me think, I was like, oh, Am I like an android just going out through like a simulation? I had that moment sitting there. I had, like I said, my Roy Batty moment. It's like, oh, I had to do that thing where I touched something physical and I was like, is this real? But yeah, that was my sentient sit back in my chair moment. When you look at reality around you and if it's like, is this reality just a room that I can see? Like, if I ran at the speed of light, could I like see the reality being simulated around me? Something like that. But that's a question that I'll never get the answer to. Probably. Your Truman Show moment. But yeah, that was my what did I call it? My sentient moment. Am I Android? Am I Roy Batty? Am I just a battery? Am I just living in a simulation like Elon Musk says? Are aliens controlling me on like a video game? To be a boring video game. Is this just a version of The Sims on a future where they perfected simulation enough where they can recreate circumstances that happened in the past? Or am I just an avatar of someone else's consciousness? Is this in my consciousness just in this form of the body and it hops into another consciousness when this body expires? Who knows? We'll never know the answer to those. Time is way too long in our little simulation here to figure that out. The answers. It all comes down to your opinion. But create a good reality for yourself. That's where I'll end that part. And then I'll jump to the actual story I wanted to tell, the story idea. After having this life-altering, am I alive really, or living in a simulation moment? But yeah. So I'm going to take a quick second break, and then I'm going to hop to the actual story I wanted to tell. Okay. So this is the story I wanted to talk about. It's funny. It's the idea. Well, the original idea is one I had a long time ago, long time ago. Because one of the podcasts I used to do is called Stop Watching. It was where, in order to get me to stop watching the show The Office, I needed to come up with my own office sitcom. So I guess you could say that's the genesis of like this podcast, where it led to AI and me coming up with show ideas. But yeah, this is an idea I had a long time ago, probably like over 10 years ago. But then of course I was listening to this new podcast, Theories of Third Kind. They were talking about lottery curses, how a lot of people who win the lottery jackpots, like the Mega Millions and Powerball, they end up having, lack of a better term, curses on them. Like they have bad lives after winning. They gave a few examples. And of course, I've seen a bunch. There used to be a show called The Lottery Changed My Life. And sometimes it was good, but a lot of times it was like the negative impact of it. But the original story idea came from back when I lived in Maryland. I think this was 2012 or 13 or 2010, around that area. The Mega Millions jackpot got to 690 million. And of course, everyone was going crazy about it. I think this is the first time it got that high. Because I think that was right after it got added to a couple new states added the Mega Millions. It was something like that, and it got super high. But the jackpot winner won in Maryland. It ended up being like a group of people won. And at the time, I worked in a warehouse, and I did like the pool. Because when it got that high, everybody was like, yeah, let's pool our money together and win. So the people who won, it actually wasn't that far from where I lived and worked at the same time. The ticket that was bought, that won, it actually wasn't that far, which added to the craziness. But like it was an office pool that won. But the story, like the next day it came out because they was like, oh, it was bought. The news was like, it was bought at this store. Check your numbers. This woman came out and was on the news saying she won. Like she was at her front door. She was like just showing a portion of her face, trying to hold the door closed. She was saying she won, and all the news and reporters were there. She's saying she worked at the McDonald's next to like the gas station that sold the winning ticket. But the story came out where she was saying she bought one ticket on her own, but she was also doing a pool like everybody at McDonald's pulled the money together, gave it to her. She went over to that gas station and bought their tickets. But what she was saying was that she won not with the pool tickets, but she bought her own tickets separately and she won. So there's this whole confusion with a lawyer was called and the people at McDonald's were going to sue her. Come to find out, she didn't win anything. Not with the pool tickets, not with her own tickets. She didn't win anything at all. It was found out that a whole nother group of people won. It was sweet because it was like Maryland is one of the states where you can claim it anonymously. And it was like 3 teachers that pulled their money together one, which is amazing. Teachers winning the lottery. That's amazing. But she didn't win anything. And I remember I was doing the pool at work and I did it the right way. Like I made copies of the tickets and gave it to everybody. And so nobody would say like, oh, if like I bought tickets on my own and all that stuff. But like the next day at work, when we found all this out, we were joking like, did she go back to work? Like, because obviously all these people are mad and we're going to sue her. Like, did she just show up back to work? Like, hey guys, how's it going? Like after causing all this drama, and you can imagine you think you won, but then she won, then you're about to sue her and all this stuff. We were like, did she have to go back to work? Because she didn't win anything. And then later on, I had the idea in my head that what if there was a sitcom with somebody wins the lottery, quits their job like automatically, but then blows all the money because there's all these stories about. There was this one guy in the UK. He won, I think, back in like 2001 or 2002. He won like I think it was 6 million or 9 million pounds, and then he blew through all the money, spending on drugs and prostitutes and cars and all this stuff, and lost all the money and ended up having to go back at working as like I think he said working in a quarry, like literally in less than, I think it was 8 years. He blew all the money, had nothing left, had to go back to work. So my show idea was based on like when that happens, like a person wins, thinks they win this exorbitant amount, but then the reality kicks in. You have to pay taxes. A bunch of money go back to the state and federal government. What you actually get is not that much. And then they blow it all because they think they have a lot. And then they have to go back to work. So that's my story idea. Somebody who wins the lottery, but then has that excitement that they quit their job and tell their boss off and all this stuff. And then they blow all their money in a short period of time and have to go back to work at the same place in like a really short period of time because the reality kicks in. They didn't really have that much money. They went on a shopping spree and all that stuff. So that's my story idea. If they had to go back to work, like I was thinking it would be like, it would pick up when they came back to work and everybody's like giving them the side eye and looking at them and making jokes about them. And then they come back and go like back into their same little cubicle and their same little crappy job. And the story's like told through flashbacks of what they did with the money and had all the experiences and what really happened. That's my lottery show idea. So I even asked ChatGPT. I remember to ask ChatGPT about this time. So this was my prompt. A TV show concept where someone who won the lottery loses all their money, has to go back to work at the office where they quit from. This is what ChatGPT came up with. The title they gave is Fortune's Twist. I like that because I have a twist at the end. I'll get to that at the end. This is going to be a comedy drama, which is true. More comedy, less drama. I'm not a big drama fan. Okay, so the log line is, when lottery winner Emily Barnes. I like that they made it a female character. Because when you think of somebody who wins the lottery and blows it all, like in your mind, you're thinking it's a guy, because a guy would just do stupid stuff with their money. But Emily Barnes loses her entire fortune due to a series of unseen events. She is forced to return to the mundane office job she once despised. As she navigates the challenges of rebuilding her life, Emily discovers that true wealth may not be measured in dollars, but in unexpected friendship, lessons, and laughter found in the most unlikely places. That end part is a little too cheesy. Of course, it'll be implied as a sitcom. You have to have that lesson in a sitcom for some reason. Synopsis. Emily Barnes, an eccentric and ambitious young woman, wins a massive lottery jackpot that transforms her life overnight. She quits her boring office job, embarks on extravagant adventures, and surrounds herself with a lavish lifestyle. However, a series of financial misfortunes, poor investments, and unscrupulous individuals soon leaves her penniless. Desperate and humbled, Emily is forced to return to the very office she dramatically quit months earlier. Yeah, that's what I said, like a short turnaround time. As she navigates the challenges of reintegration into the corporate world, she discovered that the colleagues she once dismissed are more interesting and supportive than she ever realized. The show explores the dynamics of office relationships, personal growth, and the resilience of the human spirit. So I like how ChatGPT, I don't know if they're doing this now or just because this prompt or was updated, but now they break it down and have like key elements. So they have office dynamics, which kind of financial comedy. The show incorporates comedic elements as Emily learns to navigate the world of budgeting, financial planning, and the ups and downs of economic uncertainty. So yeah, in my mind, Emily, if I stick with Emily as the main character, she would have won it when she was like young, like she was 21 or she was 18 or something. She was like on her first office job. She was excited about that. But then she played the lottery ticket like a week after start or a month or something like that after starting the job, and then wins and then quits, but then has to come back. So she's young and doesn't have a good grasp on the financial world or financial realities. Redemption and growth. Like she was terrible to everyone at the office because she wanted this money. She was terrible to everybody else. She was living this bougie lifestyle, but then has to come back to reality. She gets humbled. The return of the prodigal daughter. Unexpected friendships, flashbacks. They did include flashbacks, which is good because I said, like, when you see what she did with the money through flashbacks. Fortune twists combine humor, heartwarming moments, and a relatable exploration of the pursuit of happiness beyond material wealth. The series delves into the universal themes, resilience, second chances, the importance of genuine human connection. Yeah, it's that play on the American dream of winning money and be able to retire early. Because that's the other thing when they were talking about the episode of the podcast I was listening to about lottery curses. And it made me think, like, I play the lottery regularly. I don't play it where I'm addicted or have an issue or I can't pay bills because I'm going to the casino and all that stuff. I just play scratch offs or lottery every once in a while. Mega Millions, Powerball, local lottery, and all that stuff. But they were talking about like the reality of it. Like, say you win a huge jackpot, especially where I'm living now. If you live in a state, I'm talking about the U.S. Lottery is all over the world, but specifically the U.S. Like, if you win, there's certain states where if you win, you could claim it anonymously, so no one knows your name. But like, I live in a state where you can't do that. So you kind of put a target on your back. You put a target on your family's back. Because one of the lottery curses, they talk about this guy who won like hundreds of millions of dollars and he was robbed several times. Members of his family was kidnapped and assaulted or stalked and all this stuff. And he was robbed so many times. His daughter overdosed, which he claims is like she was murdered and all this stuff. You put this huge target on you because your name is out there. Like, it's hard to go out in public. Like, I think it was in Florida too. There was this lottery winner. He only won like 10 or something million dollars. His name was something Shakespeare. His story kind of describes it because it ended up like he got murdered. Like, he trusted the wrong person. They ended up like murdering him and trying to like put the money in his name. But I remember there was a show or something about his life and what happened after he won. He was just a normal guy. He was like a truck driver's assistant, like delivering goods and all that stuff. And he was like, after he won the lottery, he would walk into Walmart and just, because he was so famous and known for winning the lottery, he was like, kind of like had basically a face that you would, like, if you saw him, you knew who he was. People would just come up to him, like he'd be trying to shop at Walmart and just people would just come up to him crying, and tell him this whole long story about how they didn't need money, like how they needed money and how like isolating you would end up, because that's going to wear on everybody. If your family, strangers, everybody you knew, people trying to get money from you, people trying to sue you, everything, how isolating that would be. Like, you end up isolating yourself, and how depressing that would be, because a lot of times it puts like a strain on your family if you don't give them enough. You might give it to one person, they might think I should get more and all that stuff. It's very depressing. That will play a role in this TV show about how winning it isn't what you have this all the time you play, you go and you look and I'll buy this house and this car, I'll live here and all this stuff. And you get caught up in all that excitement. But this thing you're dreaming about having, this dream that you think will change your life for the better, it comes along with a lot of negativity and a lot of bad stuff. And unfortunately, some people, least of them dying or being killed, are living a life where they say, I regret winning this money because it's made me not be in a happy place. That would be part of this show, like this happiness, but the reality of it isn't a dream, it's a nightmare. And that would lead to the twist in the show that Emily Barnes, the name that ChatGPT came up with, that she really didn't lose the money. She just got really sad and depressed and lonely because she felt isolated with everybody bugging her for money and people treating her differently and negatively, and her feeling alone. Because there was this documentary on ESPN. It was one of the first like 30 for 30s I saw when they were talking about NFL players. I think it was called Broke, if I'm remembering, when they were talking about NFL players after they retire and they just go immediately broke. Like they don't manage their money well and they're spending all this money. As soon as their career is done, they don't have any more money. And I forgot who it was. They talked about, after their career was done, they had no more money. And he was saying that, it's kind of a blessing because when people don't think you have money, they don't call you anymore. They don't bug you anymore. That will be the twist in this story. Emily will get so depressed and so lonely that she convinces people that she spent all the money just so she can be back in the world of normal people and she can feel normal and small. And again, she won't be bothered and people won't treat her differently. They'll treat her like an ordinary working person. That's why she goes back into the working world, to kind of have that boring office life, because the exciting life she thought that was everything and what she needed really wasn't. It was the opposite. So she convinces people she spent all the money and blew it, but she actually didn't. She just put it away in a savings account, or she gave it all to charity, but she just wanted to go back into the world. And that, like, the flashbacks and all that stuff that she's telling are actually stuff she makes up, like what she would have done with the money. That'll be the twist. It's kind of amazing that ChatGPT did name it Fortune's Twist. But yeah, that's my lottery AI idea. Hope you like that one. This one is a bit longer because it was in 2 parts. Oh, maybe I'll do that more. I'll have 2-parters where I'll talk about what's going on with AI and how AI is making me self-aware that I'm a cyborg or something. Or I'll go down another reality rabbit hole. And then I'll do a show idea to just round things out. But yeah, I'm rambling. So I'll end it there. But thanks for listening. I'm still Kirk. This is still Dumb Test Late. AI hasn't taken over yet. As far as we know, we don't have new AI overlords yet. So if you're creating a reality for yourself, make sure it's a good one where you love and respect everyone else. So thanks again. So I hope you hear from me soon. So bye.